It is a stormy evening for many of us across central and eastern Kentucky. I've got severe thunderstorm warnings we'll share with you coming up.
Investigators are trying to figure out why a semi-truck exploded on the Clays Ferry Bridge, killing its driver.
We're talking with Lexington police about 5 gunshot victims in 3 separate shootings.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good afternoon to you. Strong to severe storms are moving across the region right now, packing strong winds and heavy rain.
The storms have already caused problems in southeastern Kentucky, where there are reports of trees down and thousands of people without power. This photo of an uprooted tree is from the Paces Creek area of Clay County. We've declared a WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey is tracking the storms on the First Alert Defender. Chris?
Yeah, we continue to get reports of at least some localized wind damage out there, but something interesting on our severe thunderstorm watches, one for western Kentucky, one for far southern and southeastern Kentucky, that make absolutely no sense. We're getting a lot of the severe thunderstorms that are outside of the actual watches right now, including some wind damage here in Mount Vernon from our WKYT weather watcher Jordan Smith down here with a tree down showing up in his backyard. Look at this line of thunderstorms that continues to increase just a little bit. It's outside of the severe thunderstorm watch that is currently in effect across western and southern parts of the area. Couple of rounds of some booming storms now across parts of the Lexington metro into central Kentucky. Severe thunderstorm warning for another 5 minutes for the eastern part of Madison County. That storm kind of pulsing back up just a little bit here on the east side of Madison County. It's getting ready to cross over into Estill County. If you're watching this around the Irvin area, not too far away from Waco, here along 52 into eastern parts or western parts of Estill County. Got to keep an eye on that. That may have some strong winds as it begins to make its way on through the region. It's being replaced into the western part of Madison County by another healthy thunderstorm complex from Lancaster, Stanford, back toward the southwest. Lexington, generally some light rains, though. Look at Clark County. Look at the Mount Sterling area into Montgomery County and right along the Mountain Parkway corridor, Clay City to Stanton. Big-time storms are getting ready to push in. Storms developing here into Fleming County are going to impact the Moorhead area coming up shortly. Southern Kentucky, boy, we have been covered all day long in some very heavy rains. Got flash flood warnings that are out for parts of Bell, Whitley, and Knox counties. Though southeast of London, here's a fairly potent storm that's going to continue to work in the northern parts of Knox County. And that flash flood warning, by the way, until 7:30 that we were just talking about. Additional rounds of showers and storms back toward Lake Cumberland. It's one of those evenings to where, especially the farther south and east that you live, greater the threat for some localized wind damage, but everybody's going to get in on a lot of lightning and heavy rains. We'll keep an eye on it right on through the evening.
All right, Chris, thank you. Investigators are trying to identify the truck driver killed in a fiery crash on Interstate 75. Police say the semi slammed into a wall on the Clays Ferry Bridge at the Fayette-Madison County line just before 6:30 this morning and burst into flames.
I-75 southbound at the bridge just reopened about an hour and a half ago. WKYT's Sean Moody is tracking the investigation. It's our top story at 5.
A firefighter said the truck was hauling a piece of large electrical equipment when it somehow caught fire and exploded. The truck driver ended up somehow going over the Clays Ferry Bridge. They found his body several hundred feet below. The crash happened around 6:20 Monday morning. People driving past shot video of the truck as it was burning on the Clays Ferry Bridge. Police say the driver hit a barrier and the truck caught fire. Witnesses reported seeing explosions. After firefighters got the flames out, there was no sign of the driver. Then they looked down.
Fire department crews that were up on the bridge were looking down, and they were able to locate him with binoculars.
His body was 300 to 400 feet below the bridge on the Madison County side of the Kentucky River.
Actually getting personnel to that spot proved to be somewhere between a 1 and 2 hour affair.
They're not sure whether he was thrown from the truck when it exploded or somehow fell from the bridge. The special operations team used a rope haul system to get the man's body out. They also tried to contain about 100 gallons of diesel fuel that had spilled into the river.
100 gallons is a decent amount, but we don't anticipate it having any major impact to both the intake or to wildlife.
The Kentucky Department of Environmental Protection will handle any more cleanup that has to do with that diesel. As far as the drinking water goes, Lexington firefighters told me that the Lexington Water Intake Facility has filtration systems that'll take care of that diesel. In Lexington, Sean Moody, WKYT.
The Madison County coroner tells us the man is a 52-year-old from Miami. He said the man did not appear to have any burns. A new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued for part of central Kentucky. Let's check back in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Yeah, Jennifer, it was a storm we were just highlighting a little bit ago from Lancaster through Danville into Stanford in Lincoln County. Boyle, Garrett, Lincoln counties now. New severe thunderstorm warning for you. That'll go until 5:30. Strongest part of this storm is going to pass right on top of Lancaster and Stanford, rolling its way, eventually impacting parts of Berea and western Madison counties coming up in about a half hour to 45 minutes. Damaging winds, a lot of lightning, and maybe some localized stream and street flooding. A possibility as the storm rolls its way to the east. We'll keep an eye on it.
Well, it was a violent weekend here in Lexington. 5 people were shot in 3 different shootings. 2 victims died. The deadly shootings happened within hours of each other, just a couple of blocks away. First on Whitney Avenue, then on Charles Avenue. Police discussed the shootings this afternoon. WKYT's Kristen Kennedy has the latest on the search for the suspects in this Crime Tracker report.
Lexington police have made 1 arrest, and they're not ruling out the possibility of others after 3 weekend shootings. Investigators were still trying to figure out who shot 2 men outside Diamond's Gentlemen's Club Sunday morning when someone fired shots Sunday night. The first on Whitney Avenue killed 1 man and injured his brother. Family tell us Montez Graves died and that his brother Freddie Spillman is fighting for his life. The 3rd shooting, we're told, killed their uncle Ronnie Graves. Graves was in his car on Charles Avenue, just a block from the earlier shooting.
The common thread in all of these cases is that we have very little suspect information and we have limited information on some of the events surrounding these cases.
Officers have arrested 1 man, Jermaine Anderson. Anderson is charged with fleeing, tampering with physical evidence, and facing drug charges. Lexington Police spokesperson Sherelle Roberts says it's too soon to tell if he's connected to any shootings other than the one on Whitney Avenue.
Our detectives are looking into these situations, but certainly with these just having happened yesterday, there's still a lot more that we need to know before we can talk about connections.
Police say Jermaine Anderson could face more charges. In Lexington, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
Lexington police say they have increased their presence in the Charles and Whitney Avenue areas.
We're learning new information about the murder of an elderly Rockcastle County woman. The suspects, Tabitha Howard and Kimberly Slusher, were arraigned in court today. Police say the 2 broke into the home of 86-year-old Mary Hinton last week and killed her. As WKYT's Phil Pendleton reports, the county attorney calls it a despicable crime.
It's a case that prosecutors say has been deeply troubling to many in the small community.
The whole county has been just taken aback. You know, this happens somewhere else. This doesn't happen in Rockcastle County.
Tabitha Howard and Kimberly Slusher are accused of murdering 86-year-old Mary Hinton, who lived alone. Not guilty pleas were entered on their behalf Monday morning.
They knew she was blind. You know, or she couldn't see well at the very least.
They're facing a boatload of charges, including robbery and burglary.
It's a horrible, tragic incident, in my opinion, because of drugs, because of the want of money, the want of drugs, and the greed.
The arraignment came on the same day her family had funeral services for the woman they say should be remembered as a generous, kind, and grandmotherly type who never married or had children.
And it shows the depravity of what we can disintegrate into. It's broken my heart as far as, you know, being a resident of Rockcastle County.
Both women told us from jail they didn't kill the woman. The county attorney says police have plenty of evidence to prove otherwise. The public defender says he'll also make motions for bond reductions. In Rockcastle County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
The 2 murder suspects are due back in court June 22nd for a preliminary hearing.
Dozens of illegal gambling machines were seized overnight. Our county-by-county coverage begins in Pulaski County. Sheriff's deputies, along with officers from several different agencies, served warrants on 7 locations throughout the county last night. 60 gambling machines, bookkeeping ledgers, and several $1,000s were confiscated. 3 people were arrested for non-related charges. The sheriff's office says they expect to make more arrests as the investigation continues. In Laurel County, deputies are searching for two men they say stole a coin-operated machine from the front of a business. Surveillance cameras show two men pretending to work on their car while allegedly unbolting the machine from the front of the store on West Cumberland Gap. Police say they took the machine behind the store, put it in the back seat, and drove away. The total value of the theft is more than $1,500.
Police